What's up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of the Two Young Pastors podcast. Today, we're talking about what we think are the five must have qualities of a spiritual mentor, five qualities, characteristics that we think and we have tried and seen that work that you need to have in your spiritual mentor. We're going to go right into it. My name is Elijah, and as always, I'm joined by Juwan, and we're in our top five series right now. And really, we're trying to build it in a way so that as you're finding your home church, as you're getting involved, the next natural step is to find that spiritual mentor. And the why of this episode is, man, Juwan, you and I have benefited a lot from spiritual mentors, bro.
Certainly, certainly have. We wouldn't be where we are today if it wasn't for the mentors that we had.
Mhm.
Not just in pastoral ministry, but in life, had those people that we could look up to that kind of sort of show us what ministry can look like. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and we were discussing this and going through it, and then we found that there's really one foundational, non-negotiable quality that we found that makes a spiritual mentor different from a regular mentor. So all these qualities can apply in a regular mentor, but really this quality outside of the five is something that undergirds and pins the rest of them and helps us to form a really solid chain. And that is they need to have an active relationship with God. I found, bro, that my spiritual mentor, Doc Peeler, he really taught me, man, that like I am able to not just graduate, but feel better in my skin based off the calling that God put on my life. And
Mm.
and that level of spiritual maturity comes from having an active relationship with God because if if he was not as connected, he would have tried his way to either take a spiritual gifts test and a whole lot of other things, right? That we are like, hey, how do we find out where you fit in into our church? Instead,
Yeah.
he allowed me because he had that like that wide view of what spirituality looked like, and he really allowed me to explore and figure out what worked well in me, bro. So we're just starting off by saying outside of those five, this is the underpinning, the undergirding, the foundational, the non-negotiable quality a spiritual mentor must have. And it sounds like it's a given, but really it's not. They need to have an active, deep, dynamic relationship with God. Juwan, go ahead and share some insight and then share your number one.
Yeah. It shouldn't have to be said. It shouldn't have to be said. But just for the individuals who are missing it, gotta have that as your foundation. But the number one quality, the must have that your spiritual mentor should have is a sense of professionalism. Elijah, when I think about one of my first spiritual mentors, I think of a woman by the name of Miss Karen Law. All right.
Mm.
When I was a kid, she was our youth ministries leader at the Sharon Seventh-day Adventist Church here in Baltimore, Maryland. And listen, man, I don't think you understand. Like some people don't understand how difficult it is to work with young people, let alone working with at-risk youth in Baltimore City. And so she didn't just have to work with kids and teens who thought they knew everything in the world, but she also had to work with individuals, youth who came from some dysfunctional households, troubled households, and were acting out in church. And one of the things that Miss Karen that she always maintained was this sense of professionalism. She was punctual. She showed up on time. She was always about getting the work done and making sure that whatever we needed, we had it. And I think that that's so crucial because I've been in spaces where individuals did not keep it professional. Okay.
Mm.
Individuals sometimes said things that a spiritual mentor should not be saying to a person that's an infant in this walk. They possibly even, missed out on showing up to certain activities, even though they said that they would. And so, not only was Miss Karen a woman of her word, but she was an individual who made sure that if she said, "Hey, we're going to meet at this time," she made sure that we were meeting at that time. If she said that we're going to talk about this as a group, she made sure that she came ready to talk about those things and to lead us. And it wasn't half baked. It was actually good quality teaching. And so I think that that is something that you should look for, a sense of professionalism, individuals who are organized, not just putting it together as they go along, but individuals who have intentionally planned out their process, scheduled things in an intentional way so that they can indeed help you grow as much as possible. And so for me, man, that has to be my number one. Being professional is a must have if I'm looking for my spiritual mentor. But what about you, man?
Bro, on top of being professional, mine is trustworthy.
Mm.
The spiritual realm, when we're talking about what it means to have a mentor, you have to share some things. You have to share some personal things. You have to share some really personal things that you wouldn't share in a normal setting, because spirituality deals with your full body. And that also means the things that you have trapped in your closet. Your spiritual mentor might need access to those things to help you direct and guide you. And if they're not trustworthy, you'll be not only discouraged, but it might destroy your entire view and perspective, man, on spirituality and
It's
even
good.
a career in it. If you share something with your spiritual mentor, and the next thing you know, someone is talking about that very same thing,
Mm.
or you're called into the administrator's office over at the conference office. They're like,
Mercy,
"Hey, we heard that you're dealing with da 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 da." And you're like, "Wait, I thought I shared that in confidence to my mentor."
mercy, mercy.
And so, man, number 2 that I found that'll help you feel more secure, because really your growth based off your mentor is how much you could share, how much you can connect and get personal with. Your growth is determined by that. So you need to have a trustworthy individual that's professional as well, bro. And I have no bad stories of my mentors that have used my personal mess. But I have heard some other stories where it has not turned out that well, because they just shared and thought it was saying private and it wasn't. But bro, we're kind of working through this. What is number 3 for our must-haves?
Yeah, man. For me, number three, must have is this. I think that a spiritual mentor has to be vulnerable. Got to be vulnerable. Like there has to be a sense of transparency there, because the reality is this. You know, me as a person who's growing in the faith, I'm going to make mistakes. I'm going to get into situations where I'm going to feel like, man, is it just me? Is it just me who's struggling with this thing? It could be gossiping. It could be not able to pray every day or being consistent in reading my word every day. And at times that can really get you down.
Mm,
But one of the things I remember from another spiritual mentor from my home church in Baltimore, who was and still is an elder. Even though like we were teenagers at this time, I was a teenager at this time. I vividly remember him being real with a number of the guys, right? I remember him being honest with us, and and rather than being the person that just said no, you know, we can't talk about stuff like sex, we can't talk about stuff like girls, how some individuals are. No, he opened up and he shared his experiences. And
mm,
I believe that that's something that's so valid. And he wasn't like glorifying it, right? But Elijah, one of the things that he did was he really shared, you know, his experiences, the things that he learned. Why? Because when he did that, it helped humanize the issue. It helped normalize it as well, and it made us realize, oh, we're all going through this.
that's good.
And so I think that this is something that can happen if you are an individual who's really self-aware and looking at these things. Even as if I speed up and look
Mm,
at what took place for me at Oakwood University, I had one of the most amazing mentors my last year there when I served as Mr. Oakwood. His name was Anthony Bowden. He served as um, one of the associate pastors at Oakwood University Church, right? And we would meet weekly, And the transparency that took place and that was seen in those conversations, not only was it heartfelt, but it helped me to realize that, oh man, there's hope for me. Like, there's hope on the other side, and if he can overcome certain challenges, I can overcome them too. But the only way that I was able to see that was by the honesty that he was able to share. It's nothing worse,
Mm,
bro, than being in situations where you're working with a person and they feel perfect all the time,
mhm.
because to a certain extent, it begins they begin to become unrelatable, because it seems like, well, where do we actually agree, or what do we have in common? Because I came to you because I saw that you are someone to aspire to, but it seems like you've always had it together.
Yeah.
But the people who are vulnerable are the individuals who are able to show you, no, I didn't always look like this. It didn't always sound like this. I couldn't always pray like this. I
Right.
wasn't always this patient, or this non-judgmental. I wasn't always this gracious. There were some times where I was impatient. I
Mhm,
was judgmental. I,
mhm.
I was harsh with my words. But God worked on me, and through sharing those stories, you're able to relate to them and see, okay, if it was possible for you, it's possible for me. And so for me, vulnerability
That's it.
and authenticity is a must have if I'm picking a spiritual mentor. So yeah. What about
Bro,
you, man?
you actually came to me and you spoke to me about that. When we were speaking, you said, "Hey, you seem a little bit polished, a little bit too polished, too unrelatable." And and I had to take it. I was like, "Yeah, like for some individuals, right? It's just a part of the personality or characteristics or even cultural tendencies, right? To kind of keep some things in the background. And
Yeah.
success hides a lot of our failures.
Yeah.
Success has a great job of kind of having that umbrella effect, and showing you what it looks like from the top, but really on the bottom you're kind of scared, right?
Yeah.
So like that I think is like the worst thing to happen is you feeling inadequate and then your mentor sitting on like a golden like chair and then going, "You'll get there one day," right? Like that's
Yeah.
like the worst. That's the worst thing. That's the worst thing. But bro, like really building off that is number four, being balanced. Your spiritual
Mhm.
mentor has to be balanced. And here's what I mean by that. It really builds off what you said, right? Is it is hard, 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 hard to talk to somebody, bro, that is so uh I'm trying to find the most polite way of saying it. Uh that is so hard leaning to one side
Mhm.
that they can't see a perspective from any other angle. So
Yeah.
here's what I mean by that. You could be so left, right, or so right that when another perspective is shared, it's automatically finding loopholes of why it won't work instead of actually listening. And even what I mean by balance, even deeper and more simpler, is someone that is able to take all the different theological constructs, all the different ideas, and then boil them down and be able to live a life that has all the things that Jesus talked about:
Mhm.
love,
Mhm.
joy, happiness, self control. And a lot of us are doing self control, but we're not loving,
Yeah.
right? We're having self control, but we're not joyful, right? Like there's like parts of individuals that'll go so far towards self discipline that they're not able to really do what Christ said in John 10:10, which is to live life and life in its fullest.
Yeah.
And life, a part of what God has for us is to enjoy life, be a part of it, ultimately knowing what the overall goal is. But
Mhm.
having a balanced mentor, the main reason for this one, bro, is you'll end up grabbing and some of the characteristics of your mentor into
Yep.
yourself.
Yep.
So if they are living an unbalanced life, you'll start to live an unbalanced life. And
Yep.
it's and that little like that like downhill thing will start happening, and you don't want to let that happen. Find a balanced individual that knows how to pair spirituality with their physical life and with their mental life as well.
Yeah. And so, listen, man, I think, um, I think that what you're saying is so crucial. And I think that like being balanced, it shows up in many different ways.
Yeah.
Um, Another way that it shows up is just in an individual, a mentor being willing to also be mentored by the mentee, right? Because mentorship relationships, in many ways, they're reciprocal, even though there is often one individual who has more experience or more skill in this relationship. There are a lot of times where our mentors can learn something new from us
Hmm.
because our experiences are indeed different, our giftings are indeed different, and our perspective is often different. And from that, there's a wealth of information, there's a wealth of knowledge that we have access to. That if you have a good spiritual mentor, they're able to tap into that, and they're also able to validate that.
Right.
There's nothing better than having individuals who can acknowledge, hey, I know you're learning from me, but I'm also learning from you.
Yeah.
And I know that there's Dr. Pillow who said that to both of us before.
Mhm.
I remember there was a chaplain at Andrews University who was mentoring me my first year there when we were in grad school together, and it was so refreshing to see that there wasn't this I'm the authority and you aren't type of relationship, but
Yeah.
there was like this shared cooperation where this chaplain at Andrews, he's like, hey, it's both of us together. I'm learning from you, and you have so much that you can teach me. And so I think that that's good. And so last thing
Mhm.
I'll say, the last must have that I think is extremely important, Elijah. Um, I think that your spiritual mentor must have accountability. They must
Mm.
have a sense of accountability. And here's why. If we're talking about an individual who's building you up, who's going to prop you up and elevate you, the truth is that, like we said, you're going to make mistakes. You're not going to get it right. And one thing that you do not want is the non-confrontational individual who just says, "You're doing good. You're doing good." Because the truth is if you are trying to learn from an individual, you want to figure out, well, how can I get better? And what you don't want is the individual who is too free, too laissez-faire,
Mm.
and it's just like, oh man, you're doing good. Just keep going. Because if you want to learn how to get better at praying, if you want to get better at learning how to study the Bible, like you want to figure out, well, what am I doing great? And what could I be doing even better? Like where are my areas of growth? And see that, and the spiritual mentor who is accountable is the individual who can acknowledge and affirm what you're doing well, and also encourage you, push you to continue to grow your gift.
Right.
Specifically this year, it happened this year. I started working with Dwayne early this year,
Mhm.
and it's been great. And Dwayne's a great preacher, and he shared with me. He was like, "Dude, you got a lot of potential, and you're great where you are." And he's just like, "Hey, I see where you can also go." And
Mhm.
so he's just like, there are a couple of tweaks that I think that if you begin making certain tweaks here, if you start making tweaks there, it can really elevate. It can really elevate what you're doing from this standpoint. And I believe that this is the same thing for any spiritual mentor. It doesn't have to be a pastor. It could be an elder at your church. It could be a ministry leader. It could be them challenging you to become more patient. It could be them challenging you to become more kind. It could be them challenging you to become more positive. Stop
Mhm.
all that negativity. Stop all that complaining.
Mm.
Listen, the person who is accountable to you is the individual who is able to get up in your face with love and say, hey, I'm loving what I'm seeing. And I think you're doing better than you were yesterday.
Yeah.
And I believe that and here's what works. Here's what worked for me. When I was going through what you were going through, here's what worked for me. I had to do this, I had to do that. And so I just want to challenge you. I want to be accountable to you
Yeah,
because I'm seeing it. I want to be accountable to you to make sure that you're not just here today, but that you're better at that you're better and that you're higher tomorrow. And so
that's
that's the
good.
last thing. That's number 5 for me. Would you like to add anything to that, Elijah?
Nah, bro, like that is what makes a great mentor. The last thing that I think I would say before we wrap up this episode is not everyone can be your mentor. Like if you're
Yes.
watching or if you're listening, not everyone has that gifting. And what I mean by gifting is that not everyone is able to mentor someone in what they're doing great. Like you can have individuals that are great at what they do, right? But they suck at teaching that and they suck
Yeah.
at mentoring someone through it
Yeah.
because that's just not what their personality is like. They're just not what they're able to do. And some people just have a natural gifting to it. And these are some natural traits that I found in some people, some individuals that you and I have both said, hey, this has been beneficial to us. So we just wanted to package it and share it with you. Again, these can really work at a general level, but what makes your spiritual mentor spiritual is their spirituality. So
Yeah.
that is the undergirding, that is the non-negotiable that we're sharing with you. Juwan, any final words before this episode ends?
Yeah, man. After hearing after talking about this, I'm realizing there might be some individuals who may be asking, well, these qualities are great, but how do I actually find my spiritual mentor?
That's true.
Like, like I understand that these things are great, but how do I find that? And listen, folks, we're gonna help you with that as well. We're gonna help you figure out how to be intentional about seeking out that spiritual mentor, giving you some steps, five steps to helping you find your spiritual mentor, so that you can look for these qualities within that person to help you on your spiritual journey. That's it from me. So back over to you, bro.
Yeah, y'all, we appreciate you. Don't forget, like, share, and subscribe to the Two Young Pastors podcast. We just came off camp meeting, so we're ready to get right back into it. Uh, uh, don't forget, there's a link in the description. You can text us any questions, any comments as well, and then we'll make sure to address it on Thursdays when those episodes drop. We thank you. We love you. Thank you for building community with us, and we'll catch you next time on the next episode of the Two Young Pastors podcast. Until then. Stay safe, y'all.